If you guys don't remember, last season ended in a horrible tragedy. I hope things are going better for Jack Ryan this time. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking Season 3 of Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. This is a show I have enjoyed covering on this channel. I think Krasinski does a great job, so I'm excited to see what Season 3 holds and how relevant it is. We're going to get into it right now. So in the first episode of Season 3, Jack Ryan is investigating a secret plan to restore the Soviet Empire through war, embarking on a dangerous op with the help of Rome Station Chief Elizabeth Wright and head of Russia House James Greer. Meanwhile, an assassination on home soil forces the Czech president into a dangerous position with Russia. Like the seasons before, this one was rated TV mature for violence and gore, profanity, a bit of sex, and frightening and intense scenes. By the way, if you're here, the best way to support this channel is by dropping a thumbs up and let me know who is your favorite character in this series, but you can't include Jack Ryan because that's kind of cheating. John Krasinski is so good as Jack Ryan. I started out a bit trepidatious on what he would be in Season 1, but as Season 1 progressed, I was so into that storyline. I don't know if Season 2 was as strong as Season 1, but we're finding our character in a different position, a different location every time a season starts, and Season 3 is no different. We start with him at CIA headquarters in Rome, where he's working as an analyst this time around, and it doesn't matter what he's doing. He could be an analyst on the political side of things in the field, and we find Jack in CIA headquarters in Rome where he's working as an analyst, and it doesn't matter what Jack is doing. He could be on the field, working on the more political side of things, or as an analyst. He's really, really good. He always knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about, and we found out that the Russians are starting up this project that stopped over 50 years ago, and the project is meant to recreate the Soviet Union. There's also the threat of an impending war that involves the Czech Republic president, and Jack is attempting to kind of fan the flames until he can get some answers. So to do that, he travels to Europe to investigate everything that he knows at this point. And of course, with all of this madness, things are going to go wrong. Jack is trying to feed information to those that he trusts back home, but do they trust him in return? And it's that back and forth that makes Jack Ryan so interesting, but in the midst of all of this political intrigue, and there's a lot of dialogue in this season, there are numerous conversations that you have to pay close attention to kind of know where we are, because there are so many sides to the impending doom, to the nuclear war that could potentially be at play, and Jack being caught in the middle of all of this, in the middle of the relations between NATO, Eastern countries, and Russia. The idea of those groups underneath trying to pull all of the strings in the background without anyone noticing. Of course, Jack Ryan is going to notice. That's why he's caught up in all of this. But can he get to where he needs to go to in time, and are those around him helping him in the way that he believes? So I really like the idea of what Season 3 is bringing us, even though there is a lot going on. There's a lot to cut between, and you have that first episode that kind of sets up what's happening in Russia, and they designate about 25 minutes to this backstory, really 20 minutes before we even see Jack Ryan in this season, see what he's up to. So if you're on board for more political intrigue, I wouldn't say more than Seasons 1 and 2, but on that level, then I think you're going to enjoy what Jack Ryan Season 3 brings us, because that's what a lot of this season is. And I liked the balance. I didn't love the balance because there are often moments that they spend too much time on in Season 3, and I'm like, I want to go back to see what Jack is doing. I want to see what Jack and others are doing. We'll talk about the characters here in just a second. But in the midst of that, you always get an action scene that's going to bring you right back in and lock you in, and I thought the action was handled really well. There was a bit more shaky cam this time around than maybe I wanted, but for the most part, the filmmaking was good, the choreography was good. It's more so gun-on-gun action, bullets firing everywhere, you're escaping via vehicle, you're escaping on foot. Regardless, that's what we want from a Tom Clancy-based show and a Tom Clancy-based story, and I see a lot of those Tom Clancy-isms coming into play in Season 3, maybe some storylines that fans are familiar with, if you know exactly what Clancy could bring us in this scenario. But you also have the idea of this season feeling less fictional than other seasons. The political intrigue is higher, yes, but you could also look at what Russia is doing in this show and the power that they have, make that comparison to kind of what's going on in real life. Obviously different, but it is eerie while you're watching this season of television. I think that's going to bring the tension up just a little bit and maybe lock people in more than they would have been locked in if you couldn't draw parallels to what's going on in real life. And even if you don't think about it that way, I love a good cat and mouse chase. And there are a lot of cats in this season. You have groups chasing other groups, chasing Jack Ryan, who's chasing one group, who's trying to feed information to those back home. And I want to talk about the characters really quick because obviously Krasinski is good. We know exactly who he is at this point. You have Wendell Pierce as James Greer, Michael Kelly as November. Nina Haas is playing the president of the Czech Republic. Betty Gabriel playing a new character this time around. She has no idea whether or not she can trust what Jack Ryan is telling her, but that relationship started to grow and become way more interesting as the show progressed. The relationship that already existed, Michael Kelly's Mike November, is as great as always. The moment he meets up with him, you know he's going to play an integral role in the show, and it's nice to have someone to feed off of when he's in the midst of battle, but also someone to trust, because there aren't a lot of people that he can trust. Specifically, Wendell Pierce's Greer, you have both sides at play, and you're cutting back and forth to seeing what's happening with Greer, what's happening with Ryan, and it's fascinating to see how both of them operate so differently, but their skill sets overlap. Obviously, Ryan's going to be better on the field, but there is some skill showcased by people that maybe you won't expect in this season. I also like how this season felt like more old school Mission Impossible style madness. You have a lot of people at play and a lot of these groups in the background, but we're always semi-focused on what Ryan is doing and the impossible task that he is asked to help out, if not solve, at the end of the day. But we trust this character to do that, and that's why we stick with him through these 8 episodes. And these 8 episodes are an hour apiece. And I could see how some would say the pacing is affected throughout this season, because I definitely felt that, especially in the midst of the season when all of these things are going on. And we'll spend a little bit more time on the conversation, but that kind of feels like an old school style of television rather than a new school. So if you like shows that had that throwback feeling to it, I mean, another Amazon Prime show that came out earlier this year in Reacher, I mean, I thought that had that flavor to it, and you could see that definitely carrying over into Jack Ryan Season 3. Before I give you my score for Season 3, thanks so much for watching. Today's phrase of the day is not a phrase, but a question. Jack Ryan or Jack Reacher? Let me know in the comments down below. There's an extra layer of intrigue this time around because of the parallels between this story and real life, but Krasinski's Ryan is as good as ever. The constant cutting between storylines is a lot, but the results are solid. I'm going a 75% with my score. I really enjoyed this season. I was invested. I maybe wasn't as hooked as other moments in other seasons, but I'm still up for the show. And apparently we're getting one more season of this iteration of Jack Ryan. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks so much for watching this video. See you soon.